Terraria's melee class is a bit inconsistent to say the least, offering the player a multitude of different ways to dish out close quarters damage throughout the game. And that's where things get a little bit weird, as most of the class's best options aren't exactly close range at all, and function almost identically to a ranged weapon. Today, we're going to be looking at a spear that finds itself balancing between both, requiring true melee range to use, but dishing out damage at long distances. Of course, I'm talking about the Ghastly Glaive. Before we take a look at this thing, however, did you know that we're actually approaching the big 150k sub milestone? So, if you enjoy these kind of vids, why not come part of the crew and help support the channel? Okay then, let's see how you get this thing. The Ghastly Glaive was actually added as part of the Dungeon Defenders 2 crossover update, meaning we're going to want to be farming the Old One's army invasion. To do this, you're going to want to first make sure you've defeated at least one mech boss in your world, and then head to your tavern keep and purchase an Eternia crystal stand and crystal. When it comes to the arena, go ahead and build a levitating flat platform, a minimum of 61 tiles in both directions. And while you can go with this, to make life a little easier, extend it by another 30 or so tiles to give you more room. With the event underway, your main goal is basically going to be blasting through as many waves as possible so we can get to wave 7, the final wave, when ogres start to show up. To do this as a melee player, I'd highly recommend using the Dribbler Crippler, as it can be obtained early and dishes out a devastating amount of group damage, and the Sergeant United Shield is also a fantastic option that not only has piercing, but homes onto enemies. Either way, however you got to wave 7, with a 20% drop rate from ogres, like me here, it may take you more than one invasion to get. Alright then, now we've got it, let's see what it can do. As I sort of mentioned earlier, the Ghastly Glaive finds itself in between being a true melee weapon and a projectile one, working as your average spear on the surface, but with a hidden trick up its sleeve. You see, upon hitting an enemy, a yellow dragon head ghost will appear next to a random enemy, damaging it during its appearance. And although this does look amazing, on single targets at least, its DPS is a little underwhelming, getting beaten by the Dribbler Crippler, and although obtained a little later, is utterly demolished by the Terrorblade. But when it comes to multiple targets, things do change up a little, with the Glaive's piercing causing its DPS to reach almost 3000. With no modifiers, this at least beats the Terrorblade. However, the DPS king that is the Dribbler Crippler still manages to keep its crown. Okay, we've established that it's pretty average when it comes to the DPS test, so let's see what it's like against the real thing. It's certain that the Ghastly Glaive is not a weak weapon, dealing very respectable damage on multiple targets. But, once again, compared to the Dribbler Crippler, a weapon I think is about as hard to obtain, it just doesn't quite match its killing performance. And even on single targets, well, yes, it can kill this mimic quite quickly, even the Terrorblade, a weapon more meant for dealing with groups, did a better job at killing this thing. Okay, so things aren't looking too great for the Glaive right now. But luckily, like any weapon with infinite piercing, yep, you guessed it, it can absolutely cheese the Destroyer, taking him out in sub 20 seconds. And yeah, while the Dribbler Crippler can also do this, it's nice to know that if you do go the Glaive route, you also get a free mech boss kill with it. Moving on to other bosses though, I can't quite say the same thing. You see, with its contact range matching that of a regular true melee weapon, taking out fast moving bosses can be tricky. And while its DPS is pretty solid, the amount of health you have to sacrifice just isn't viable for me at least. I suppose though, with some practice and a good mobility build, it is possible to take out these early bosses, but it's just going to require a bit more precision than normal. Also, if you're someone who likes farming events, the random ghost projectiles are perfect for things like the pirate invasion. In a way, it's sort of like a budget version of the Horseman's Blade in how it deals with all the enemies on the screen. The Ghastly Glaive is one of these weapons where I really want to like it, but just can't see myself using it in an actual playthrough. This has been sockrteez, and I'll see you in the next one.